An expectant mother had to face a health insurance emergency that turned into an absolute nightmare. So now this mother, Sarah Walsh, 39 years old, was 24 weeks pregnant. So she was pretty much getting ready to give birth to twins when she began to show signs of a serious but rare medical issue. So now what it was is a twin-to-twin transfusion syndrome. Again, it's a very rare blood disorder, complication that occurs when fetuses share blood unevenly through the same placenta. So I don't know if it counts as a blood disorder, but nonetheless a blood complication that in 95% of cases is fatal to the fetuses. So obviously that's a huge, huge problem. So now she ended up having to pay tens of thousands of dollars up front, out of pocket, to save not only the life of her children, the lives of her children, but also possibly her own. So now let me give you some more information, some more details on this. So basically, after she was diagnosed, her doctor, an OBGYN, came to the conclusion that if she did not have this immediate surgery, this emergency surgery, that her twins would die and could, again, even cause her death as well. Both doctors referred Walsh to a fetal surgeon in Florida, about 4 hours away from her. So he's since this is a very rare disorder, very rare complication, there weren't many people that were willing to do this, or I should say, there weren't many people trained to do this, and there wasn't a lot of insurance coverage. So now Walsh ran into the issue of having to pay for this surgery. So while speaking to the Fetal Institute, which is, again, this Florida institute that is set up to treat these very rare, special complications, okay? Now, Walsh tells Kaiser Health News that a billing representative, when she had called the Fetal Institute, told her that before the surgeon, a man named Ruben Quintero, who, by the way, had specialized and helped perfect the technique on this specific surgery, would see her, but not until she had paid a full $15,000 ahead of time. Oh, wow. So this includes the consultation, surgery, and post-op care. Now, it actually came to more than $15,000, but that was the first estimate. And so she would have to come up with that money out of pocket and hope for a reimbursement from her insurance company. So now she did have insurance through BCBS, through her job. That said, Quintero did not belong to any insurance networks, and they really couldn't offer any payment plans as well that would fit to her situation. So she ended up having to borrow money from her mom, and very lucky she was able to do so, putting money on credit cards. And again, it's because her children's lives and her own life was in trouble. Walsh also had contacted her insurer, who advised her to apply for waivers that could reclassify this care as in-network. But again, it didn't quite work the way that it should have, the way that they were hoping it would. So now, look, at the end of the day, she came up with the money, got the surgery, went to the follow-ups, had several more consultations, and ended up giving birth to 2 healthy twin girls. Bit premature, but they survived. She survived. But after that, she was stuck with a massive, massive bill that did not get reimbursed by her insurance company. Again, she was covered by BCBS of Texas through her employer, and ended up racking up a bill of $18,610. Jesus. Now, Walsh ended up putting up about $14,472.35 on her and her mother's credit cards. her plan did end up paying about $5,419.44, but ended up paying about $13,000 out of pocket. So that is insane. And one big example of where our healthcare system just absolutely fails. So now there were other options, again, that didn't apply to her. When Walsh originally called her insurance company before her procedure, a representative told her that the doctor was in its network only at a few facilities, but not at a private practice where he would have to evaluate her. This billing representative with the Fetal Institute confirmed to KFF Health News that the practice does accept Medicaid, but does not contract with private insurance. Now, the thing is, she made too much to have Medicaid, but also had to borrow money and rack up credit card debt in order to pay the money up front. So her choices were, again, get all this debt for something that, again, wasn't her fault. It was a surprise complication. It does happen. Rack up all this debt for that to save the lives of her children, or let them die and have her die possibly as well. So this is a situation. If you're a foreign viewer, by the way, you're probably like, what the hell is going on? What are you talking about? What is this in-network, out-of-network bullcrap? What are you talking about? This is all complete and utter gibberish. Welcome to the American healthcare system. Welcome to what people have to deal with for freedom. So-called freedom. Okay? Look, there were other options, by the way. Her taking out a care credit card if she didn't have a credit card herself. So what's a care credit card? Well, that's basically where you take a medical debt credit card. It's a loan for medical debt. Again, something that doesn't happen in any other country. Just here. Just here. Now, by the way, she also didn't even have the option, though, because she was in a time crunch. Her care credit card would not have come in time for her next morning procedure, and said the Fetal Institute also had denied a request to pay half the bill up front and the rest over time. Had to be that day. No, you pay us up front or else we are not going to see you. We're going to refer you to someone else, and good luck, because this is incredibly rare. Walsh also said she had to fill out just reams of paperwork, waivers, taking days or even weeks in order to just get pre-authorization, and also had trouble getting all the documentation her insurance company said that they needed to approve this emergency surgery. So basically, at the end of the day, she had a figurative gun to her head and to her children's heads. And yet, our incredibly dystopian health insurance company, health insurance system, blocked her at every single turn. Now, where's the federal government? Well, the federal government also doesn't have any way to help people in her position. Now, there had been one option that she was not informed of ahead of time. She didn't know about it. Neither the specialist nor BCBS did tell Walsh about the possibility of getting care at the University of South Florida. At the time, USF was the only other facility in the state that could have performed the procedure, according to Alejandro Rodriguez, a maternal fetal medicine physician and an assistant professor at the USF Health Morsani College of Medicine in Tampa. Rodriguez noted that USF does accept private insurance, Medicaid, and Medicare, and doesn't require patients to pay up front. Well, that would have been nice for her to know. That would have been really nice. Unfortunately, nobody told her about it. It's not like she had time to go and shop around in this system. Oh, see, the healthcare system in America, it's the best because you can shop around. No, nobody wants to shop around. This is a great example of why that argument is absolute BS. You think people that are facing a health emergency are going to want to shop around for the best deal? You shop around for a used car or a new car. You don't shop around for health care. That's insanity. What are we doing in this country? Other than, of course, unfortunately, helping health insurance executives at Blue Cross Blue Shield. Helping these companies. And so now, let me go to Walsh here, another quote. She said, no parent should have to face the choice of how much money can I raise in the next 12 hours. And is it enough to save the lives of my children? Well, it's
USA, USA, USA.
That's what happens. Now, Walsh also reached out to a medical advocate who said, concluded that Quintero, the doctor in this case, had billed her correctly, while at the same time contacting her insurance company and all the different players involved, and no one could understand how she was charged more than $10,000 up front to treat her. Well, it's the system. It's the system that's broken. So what happened? Well, again, she still hasn't been reimbursed. Not fully. Now, a KFF health news reporter did contact BCBS, and eventually a representative reached out to Walsh to inform her that her claims had been, quote unquote, escalated. Oh, escalated. Oh, nice. Except that means nothing. Nothing at all. They did eventually determine that reimbursement was appropriate because the provider was out of its network. But wait, that's the opposite of what they claim. Because they're saying that if it's not in network, then we're not going to reimburse you. It doesn't make any sense. They're just making things up. Again, that's the problem. The entire system here is arbitrary. If you look into insurance companies, they just charge arbitrary rates to just get as much money as they can, as much money as possible for themselves and their CEOs, their shareholders. And that's really all of that's what happens when you have a for-profit healthcare system. A system that's not based on the quality of care, but a system that's based on monetary reimbursements, getting as much money as possible. It's broke. Or, well, you know what? No, it's not broke. It's actually working as intended, but it's a morally broken system. Again, we have a situation where your money or your kids' lives, and possibly your life. And it's not just these rare situations, but we see this all the time, all over the country. And this is a perfectly legal system. It's perfectly normal in America, and it shouldn't be. No, we need universal health care. We need Medicare for all. Not everybody can raise tens of thousands of dollars to get an emergency surgery. Not everybody can eat a $10,000+ bill because of some in-network, out-of-network bullcrap. No, there's a better way. Every other country seems to have figured it out, except for us. And we need to pressure our politicians, and we need to pressure our government into allowing us to go to that system. Because we're actually, if we actually are pro-life, as a lot of the right-wing claims, and by the way, it's not just a right-wing, there are Democratic politicians that are more than happy to keep the status quo, that are happy to continue to have insurance companies basically run extortion on people. It comes down to having a system of money in politics where these insurance companies will come in and they'll donate to politicians who stand against universal health care, who stand against doing the right thing and having an actual moral healthcare system that is not only, again, better, leads to better outcomes, but also ends up being cheaper in the long run. Because if you're actually able to get care beforehand, before things get bad, and I know it doesn't apply to this situation, But before, small conditions turn into larger conditions, that actually ends up being cheaper in the long run. But again, that doesn't help the profits of health insurance companies and executives. So until we get that for-profit motive and the money out of politics, I'm afraid that we're going to continue with this system that is a form of highwaymen, your money or your life.